turn the page, we are on Samach Ches, the very top. The first words on that page is B'Pchina Sog Gashmis, in a Sog Gashmis manner. And this is the conclusion of the whole discussion, the principle of which is that, yes, indeed, the nefesh is mislabish in the guf, and mislabish to the extent that the principles of nefesh are understood in the human brain, which is a physical organ, which means there is some kind of a gashmius recognition of the phenomenon of nefesh. Understanding. Understanding of nefesh, understanding of godliness, and in a physical orientation is a kind of a out of proximity. The reason that is possible, however, is that in its origin, in the very true essence of this spirit, of this nefesh, there is the element of sechel. Chochmah v'seichel. And we explained what is this element of Chochmah v'seichel. Principle it is that not only is nefesh a godly entity and a godly life, but it has knowledge of what it is. This knowledge of what it is something which the gashmi, the receptacle of the brain, has some kind of affinity, some kind of kinship. Thank you very much. What is the kinship that the sechel element in the nefesh has with the brain? As we explained many times, awareness, that it knows of what it is, represents two states. It is and it is not. Because in order to become aware, there has to be a transition from not aware to aware. Something which is a constant awareness is not awareness. Like we said, fish are not aware of themselves at all. Because their life is constant. They're within their life source. They don't have an awareness of their being, that it's possible for them not to have their life source, and therefore they are aware that they have a life source. So you don't have that. Chochmah v'seichel in the nefesh. All the nefesh is life itself. Nonetheless, the nefesh is a nefesh with all its richness. And it is principally it knows what it is. Because of this phenomenon, this is why the inyan nefesh can ultimately relate, like not to be mislabish in the guf, to the extent that in the brain, the awareness of life it becomes identifiable. He's aware that he's alive. This is a phenomenal thing. Again, as we said, what the Rebbe's point is, it is not only because the brain is a physical organ. It is due to the physical organ of the brain, but also primarily due to the fact that this awareness is present in the nefesh also. The highest nefesh itself brings along this awareness. This is why it can ultimately relate to a physical organ. It has an element of physicality. I want to put it, for lack of a finer way, there's an element of physicality within the chayes nefesh.
This element of awareness is a degree of physicality, for lack of a better word.
Right. What is an element of physicality? Physicality is... Tommy? That's right. That's right. An element of physicality. What is physicality? What is a physicality? What is an element of physicality? Physicality is a distinct presence. The nefesh, the Rebbe says, with all its richness and its greatness, its awareness and its highest is b'chinas chochma v'sechel. There's awareness. This awareness is like an element of physicality.
Why? Because of distinct presence.
A distinct presence, a distinct knowledge. And if not for that, there could never be slapshas nefesh in the goof, in the brain, b'chinas hasoga gashmis. In a hasoga gashmis quality. So hasoga gashmis quality, the brain is hasoga gashmis. The awareness of the brain that there is a life. There is a life. This is b'chinas hasoga gashmis. Even though life is not a gashmi.
Hasaga gashmi?
That's what hasoga gashmis.
That's a good touch on a physical understanding.
Comprehension. Like we said, one of these days, we said, don't cross the street against the red light, lest you get hurt. That we can understand, that even a child understands, but get hurt. But your life is being threatened. That is a completely different type of recognition. A child does not recognize that phenomenon. To recognize that phenomenon, you have to have much more developed intelligence to know that life itself is a presence in the person. It is not a fundamental, a physical reality. I was thinking, in conjunction to this, with this discussion.
Shlomo, you need to speak into your phone.
What does it mean that life is not a physical?
That life is what?
Reality.
Not physical.
Life is not physical. Life is a spirit, is a nefesh and the shomer.
Yeah, but you're saying that a child is not developed to think that life is not physical. I mean,
the child takes life for granted. The child does not understand that it's possible, chas v'sholem, to hurt yourself to the point of losing life. It's not part of its thought at all. I was thinking, in conjunction with this phenomenon, it's an interesting. This is crazy, but it's a part of our history. People who go on car racing, particularly. Car racing is very, very challenging, extremely challenging, and extremely dangerous. And there are families that pride themselves. My grandfather died on track. My father died on the track. And I continue to run the track. And that's part of their pride. That's their heroism. Totally oblivious what they're sacrificing for the glory of the track.
That was to illustrate how life itself can become obscured.
Obscured. You don't understand what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's continue now.
You just before the marshal, you used the phrase using those three words in that order: nefesh, chokhmah, and sechel. And I didn't understand because you said it very fast. Can you rephrase that? I think you were talking about trying to define life.
The Rebbe says that in the nefesh, in the chayes nefesh itself, in the purity of chayes nefesh is a phenomenon. It's a godly phenomenon. It's much greater than anything that the goof has. In the chayes nefesh, there is not the element of present and not present. It comes from Hashem Himself. Yet in this chayes nefesh, there is the element of chokhmah v'seichel. What is that chokhmah v'seichel? There is awareness that he is alive, that he has life. This awareness is a kind of akin to the nefesh, to the chayes nefesh as it is in the goof. This is what makes it possible for this chayes to be mislabish in the gashmi organ of the brain. So that in the brain, we become aware and understand what it means to be alive. Okay.
But what said before that to be aware it needs to be two states. But in the nature there is no two states.
That's right. And this is why the Rebbe is pointing out that even on nefesh there is no state, but in the chayes nefesh as it is in the nefesh, this is a very special quality in the chayes nefesh itself. That it is b'pchinas chokhmah v'seichel. The nefesh has been given the opportunity to appreciate what it is. Not by experimenting, like it is in our physical environment, but by the depth of its chayes. Okay, let's continue. All right, we're on the top line of Samaches. Kain hu hadugma l'mayla. The similar Indian is the way it is l'mayla. The similar Indian that we just finished saying, that in the chayes nefesh there is Indian chokhmah v'seichel, and that's why it's able to be mislabish in the goof. And that in the brain there is also hasoga of the nefesh. The similar is the way it is l'mayla. What is it l'mayla? The mipnei sheyesh b'chinas chokhmah ubina v'chesed u'gvura b'ha'oir. That due to the fact that in the oil itself there is the bechina of chokhmah ubina, there is a bechina of chesed u'gvura. Hagam shezehu behelem, although it is in complete concealment, in an extremely subtle manner, or bipshitus adayin, and it is as yet bipshitus, as we said, it is not individually identifiable, Chochmah and Bina and Chesed and Gvura. Nonetheless, although it is in such a subtle manner, it is nevertheless a presence. Zoizi asibo, this is the cause. Sheba ha'oyer b'bchinas yislapshus pnimi b'hakeli. This is what causes that the oil should be able to come and be put in the kelim in his lapshus pnimi b'hakelim. What does lapshus pnimi mean? An internalized hislapshus, not a hislapshus of two things that don't belong together. But an hislapshus pnimi is hislapshus that it internalized, they appreciate one another. We gave this very coarse moshel for this, but it's a proper moshel. Water in a cup fits. Pebbles in a cup, they also contained, but they don't fit. They're not really in the cup, just grasped, but they're not. They don't relate to the cup. Shenit was behakelim, that the oil is actually grasped in the kelim. And thus it becomes as the reality of the kelim itself. What is the reality of the kelim? In the form of mitzius, of a presence, of chochmah and bina, and chesed and gvura. Let me try and give a little bit more of a handle on this. The nefesh is mislabish in the guf and gives life to the guf. And this life that it gives to the guf is a pnimistic life. So that when we do an action with our hand, the hand is actually experiencing, involved in that action. The hand is involved in that action, and the brain is involved in the phenomenon of understanding. What is the difference? The hand is also doing, so to speak, an intelligent action. Does the hand understand what it's doing? Like the brain understands what its understanding is. So we say there's a big difference. The brain is a keli for sechel and bin and sechel. The hand is a receptacle for the chayes and nefesh. It does not discern the sechel element, although it is acting. It is imbued with this. It is imbued with the chayes of the sechel and nefesh, of the sechel from the brain. The hand is doing a very intelligent action, but it is not aware that it's doing an intended action. It is given that chayas not by its choice. The brain has the ability of choosing, of identifying how you should do things. So that even within the human experience, we have different levels of correlationship between the nefesh and the guf. The brain is the most phenomenal correlationship, the most sensitive. The brain senses actually what the nefesh thinks. The guf is affected by it, but it doesn't sense it.
That statement that the brain senses what the nefesh thinks isn't thought at a much lower level from the life of the nefesh per se.
But yes, it is, but it's established in the brain.
So there are thoughts, or there is a brain that is aware of what the nefesh is saying, basically.
In the brain, we have understanding of the chokhmah and sechel as it is in the nefesh. And the reason for that is that this chokhmah and bina, chassidus and gvura, are contained within the oil hanefesh. Oil hanefesh means the presence of the nefesh itself, which is nefesh. Nonetheless, it is contained therein, and as a result of that, that can be mislabish in a keli gashmi, and it can be translated in a gashmistic environment. Although the way it is in the oyer, it is, it said, b'pchinas pshitus. What does b'pchinas pshitus mean? We already discussed it many times. B'pchinas pshitus is that it is not because this awareness, this knowledge is present as such, but because it is part of the truth of the nefesh itself. What does that mean? You ready to go a little bit more clear?
Sorry, what we're going to be looking at, what I missed the intro sentence there.
What does b'pchinas pshitus mean? And then as a mitzias of sechel. And it comes out the keli itself. B'pchinas pshitus means the principle of dignity, due to the fact that this is a godly presence. Therefore, its dignity has to be maintained. This is mitzad the presence of the nefesh itself. It is not the way it is identified in sechel. The nefesh itself. But then in the sechel, the principle of dignity is also understood. The sechel phenomenon. That's already b'yislapshus in Cain.
How do you have dignity before Islapshus and Caleb?
I once saw a little blurb, little piece of a video. There was an animal that was torn apart, and its guts flew out. And then there was a scavenger animal came up, wanted to have a lunch. So he came up He came up to and examined this guts. And it looked at the guts, it looked around it, and walked away. Does an animal have a sense of dignity? It cannot eat this ugly appearance. Yes, he was turned off by it, but he did not know in sechel why he was turned off. He was just turned off. It's a difference between having it in sechel or just having it because the experience of life itself doesn't let you go there. Okay? So then the Oyer HaNefesh is mislabesh in the kelim and becomes Ruchines Chochmo, Bino, Mechesed and Gvura. Actually defined qualities. Okay, at the end of the third line, which is not at all as the Pshitus Ho'er as it is on its own, Amtzad the Mitzad and Nefesh itself. It should be identified, like I did illustrate the difference between being aware of the disgusting awareness or being disgusted by it. Two different things.
Being aware of what? Of the thing we were just talking about?
Yeah. Peil, Pe'ul as Akelim, 4 lines. Peil, Pe'ul as Akelim, and it has the activity. It acts the effect, it brings out the effect of the action of the Kelim. Sheine b'yerech Oyer mitzad atzmi. That is not be'erech, proximity of the Oyer, the Oyer is mitzad atzmi, the Oyer is mitzad itself. The Oyer mitzad itself is all due to the Oyer, to the Nefesh, to the truth of the Nefesh. Not because of this particular activity. Your hand gets dirty. Okay, your hand gets dirty. The fact that you are dirty as a result of getting the hands dirty, that's a completely different phenomenon. That's a completely different thing.
What are we illustrating here? That the Or is nitfas b'kelim?
Or nitfas b'kelim means on a specific basis it identifies various nefesh qualities. Or it is due to the nefesh itself. That's the pshitus.
So the hand is dirty is more like in Kalim already.
That's right. That's right. V'zehu, okay, at the end of the 4th line. My time is up. V'zehu k'moshol b'nefesh in his boil yirpi the gimel. This is like the moshel in the nefesh that we discussed earlier in Pidei Gimel, and we explained. Shemipnei shehakoiches hem pnimim biyatzem. That due to the fact that the koiches are in essence pnimiyim. What does that mean? Pnimim biyatzem. It means, I'm translating, let me go inside. It means that the fact that the koiches function within a certain parameters is not only because they are relating to these parameters, but in an essence they look for parameters. Look inside now. The Hainu, which means she'einam ha'ora mi'etzem ha'nefesh, that the kochas are not a ha'ora, a reflection of the etzem ha'nefesh. Etzem ha'nefesh has no parameters. Kiyim rather mashe ha'nefesh koilelos b'etzem koiches. The nefesh in it, it actually incorporates koiches, which is definitive qualities. Even though the nefesh is koiches internally, the k'meisha including the nefesh, where in the state as the koiches are incorporated, are contained in the nefesh, ein begins mitzias koiches dadaya. They're not a mitzias koiches. This is part of nefesh. To the extent that all the koiches in the nefesh, abihisarvos, are all mixed together. There's no distinction of one koich and another. But then when these koiches are drawn from the nefesh, are they tzimtzum? As a result of the tzimtzum, where the nefesh itself is withdrawn and what surfaces are the koiches element, so then the koiches are actually mislabish and they grasp in the Ivori Haguf, they identify with the Ivorim specifically. There's much to be talking about. I'm going to leave it at this. I just want to point out. Your feet get dirty, your hands get dirty, your face is dirty. You have dirt on you. Your feet are dirty is also your dirt, but it's a different phenomenon. From a complete nefesh perspective, dirty is dirty. But when your hands get dirty, that prevents you from doing what you need to do. When your feet get dirty, they don't prevent you because you're still walking on the same ground. Okay, this is it for this morning. Hi, Be'er Shalom. So, what are we learning?
Could we paraphrase what was a new statement or new thing today?
It's not new. It's actually a conclusion of whole weeks of discussion. But the emphasis today is the clarification that due to the fact that on its inception, on the very source, there are specific qualities in the very source, even though it is completely camouflaged and contained in the source.
I feel like I was said yesterday.
That's it. Yes, there's something new. But the big thing is that because it's contained in the source, it can be mislavish in the goof, in the keli, and become like the keli. Distinct.
Can you discuss this yet? I mean, what mean Nakuda?
No, there is not a new Nakuda. It is just